Our powerhouse. Congratulations on defeating the New York Metal Sisters just like a couple days ago we got to see. So you are obviously Foxy, you're fierce, but I wanted to know what was it about? We came from a background of roller derby. And so what was that transition into being a powerhouse wrestler?
Yeah. So first off, I just want to say thank you for having me. It's wonderful to be talking with you. But yeah, I came from a background of pro roller skating. I was doing a lot of commercial work with that. And I think that really helped my transition into wrestling be a little bit smoother because, with skating, it's sort of a sport that's having a resurgence. Um, and because of that, there's a lot of room to kind of create as you please. There's a lot of room to explore, like, okay, what are the boundaries of this sport? How far can I push? What new amazing things can I do on skates that haven't been thought of before? So I think because of that, getting into wrestling, where, I think it's another sport where it's kind of like, okay, yeah, I want to take down my opponent, but how am I going to do it? So I think because of that, it has been a pretty smooth transition. Yeah, and then I mean, just being active with skating in general, having that help me stay fit has made, all of the physical demands of wrestling a little bit easier for me to handle.
So while Women of Wrestling is all female, what has that been like training with all women compared to men as well?
Oh, it's just been fantastic. Like, truly a joy. Because I think it's tough sometimes to find environments that are truly supportive, truly positive, truly uplifting. But that is what WoW has accomplished. Like, it doesn't matter that, of course, everyone's going out for that title and everyone wants to be the champion, but still there's a level of respect. And it's just a healthy working environment. So to be able to train among other strong, talented women from all different backgrounds has just been truly a pleasure.
As Foxy Fierce, how does you, Foxy Fierce, really hope to change the landscape of not just women's wrestling, but wrestling as a whole?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think even though we've made a lot of progress where we are today, in terms of accepting women in sports and particularly Black women in sports, I think there's still work to be done. I think a lot of times people want to place Black women or Black individuals into a certain box with their preconceptions and prejudgments. But my goal with Foxy Fierce is I want to show all aspects of myself, all of my uniqueness. So I feel like that's sort of in the name. It's Foxy, which is the grace, the poise, the beauty, but also fierce, which is that strength, that power, that tenacity. So yeah, I want to show people that those things can be combined. And again, even though we're getting to a point where people recognize that women can embrace their femininity if they like, but also be strong, I feel like there's still room to push that message even further.
Is kind of known for its diversity. So while we have different people from different backgrounds, so I was wondering, as you coming into the mix, how do you plan to stand out when in a group where everyone stands out?
Yeah. I think I want to go back to just the way that I was raised. There's sort of an attitude passed down from the generations of women before me, from my great grandma, my grandma, my mama, this idea that you are enough, just being you. Like, what is planned for you and what is yours, that's what will be yours no matter what. So just by virtue of being yourself, you don't have to go out of your way and have so many bells and whistles and try so hard, because it's just who you are. It's in your blood, it's in your soul. So, I think that says it all in terms of, how I stand out, despite being around so many other wonderful, unique women. So I also have a background in costume design. I do a lot of things. So through that, I learned about fashion throughout all of the centuries and periods throughout history.
So Kind of going off of Glow and Wow, I wanted to know, Wow is built on the legacy that is Glow. And so
Yeah.
with you're now in this company, I wanted to know, what do you hope your legacy within Wow becomes? And for other women or girls looking at you as an inspiration.
Yeah, I think at the end of the day, if I'm able to be what I wanted to see growing up for another young person, I think that would be amazing. I think it can be very challenging to picture yourself in a certain arena if you haven't seen any sort of blueprint for it or haven't seen anyone come before you. But when you have that vision, it's a little bit easier to say, I'll take that first step so that I can get there. And that's what Glow did for me and for other young women looking up who didn't, necessarily think of wrestling as a viable career path. And so I'm hoping through Wow we can do the same thing. And even if wrestling isn't specifically what a person looking up wants to do, you know, just seeing that these are women out here who, despite what society may say, despite what is traditionally considered kosher for women to be doing, they're out here doing what makes their heart sing and what inspires them. So yeah, I hope that's the takeaway for the next generation.
We've seen you in tag team action. We've seen you in singles, and I wanted to know, what is a path that really speaks to you in your heart? Is it the singles championship? Is it the tag championship?
Yeah, I mean, I think at the end of the day, everyone is going for that championship title and wants to be the person on top. And although I am out there having fun, getting my groove on, that is the ultimate goal. So, I would have to say the singles path is the one that I'm leaning towards a little bit more. But it has been so wonderful working with Chantilly and I also tagged with Tiki. So anytime I get in the ring with these other wonderful, knowledgeable women, it's fantastic.
You're a wrestler who you want to go up against that you haven't gotten a chance to yet, or either tag team with?
Yeah, well, I mean, go up against, based off what I just said, going after that title, it's got to be the beast, of course. I'm sure most folks say that, but yeah, it's the beast. And honestly, same goes for tagging. I would anywhere in the vicinity of the champion, that's where I'm at.
Previously, you talked about embracing everything about yourself. And so I was wondering, was there something that you didn't embrace yet until you got into wrestling and now is completely a part of you and you fully accept?
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think off the top of my head, I would have to say, um, just in terms of like physicality and aesthetics, just embracing my kind of natural strength in a way. I think a lot of women have struggled with body image issues and challenges and wanting to be this and not be that, or too much of this, too much of that, whatever. I was no different growing up, struggling with, oh, I'm too thick here, now I'm too thin there, and all that kind of stuff, or oh, don't want to be too muscular, whatever. But through joining wrestling and being surrounded by such phenomenal, powerful, smart women, it's really made me find a new appreciation for my own body and what makes me unique. So, when I see muscles popping out here and there, I'm like, bring them on. Like that's just a sign of how hard I've been working and of my strength. So I'll take it.
We see a lot of dancing with your wrestling as well. Can you talk about how the wrestling has influenced the dancing?
Oh, I love that. Hmm. I guess they kind of go hand in hand in a way. I think with my dance moves, I like to have very fluid, kind of smooth movements. And so I think that kind of plays into the way I choose to wrestle. And even my name, because I'm Foxy, but that fox spirit or element is in there as well. So it's like I'm gonna, slide in when you least expect it and then slide right back out. So yeah, I guess they kind of work in tandem that way. And then even with wrestling, with some of the more staccato, hard hitting movements, with my dance, I kind of might punctuate something a little differently, or land in a strong pose, whereas I might not have if I wasn't wrestling.
Who is the wrestler that inspires you the most?
Well, there's not just one. I when I first got into wrestling, I wanted to be aware of the history of the industry that I was coming into, and particularly the history of Black women in wrestling. So, watching documentaries, researching, reading articles, all of that, I found out about the Black women pioneers of wrestling who were coming through in the 50s and 60s, doing what they were passionate about despite being faced with Jim Crow law and racism and harassment. So, some of those names that come to mind are Ethel Johnson, Babs Wingo, Marva Scott, Kathleen Wembley, Ramona Isabella. So, yeah, there's a lot of people to honor, pay homage to.
True. So thank you so much for speaking with me. It has been an honor, and I've learned so much about you, and I look forward to more matches with you, or watching your matches, not fighting you.
Well, thank you so much. Yeah, and it's been truly wonderful speaking with you.